we make an effort to become aware of feelings over the last month, and tonight I want to talk to you about just letting them go. How do you let these feelings go? Like, they keep coming up in me. I keep feeling angry. I keep feeling fearful. How do I let them go? Okay, well, the first thing you want to become aware of is the amplitude of the emotional reaction. Okay? This is the first, relatively speaking, objective clue. Is the amplitude of the emotional reaction you're having appropriate for the situation that's bringing it about? So in other words, an example. I go to drink my bottle of water. Oh my God, is that water cold! High amplitude reaction to the temperature of the water. I am obviously dramatized, but yes, okay? Oh my God, I can't believe she did that to me. I just can't believe I can't believe she said that. High amplitude emotional reaction, all right? Does it fit the situation? What did she really say? What did he really say? What did they really do? Does it fit the amplitude, okay? If the amplitude of the reaction is far higher than the situation appears to be appropriate for, you've got one of two things happening. First of all, you're just overstressed and you're overreacting, okay? That's pretty easy to check. You can kind of check in on yourself and be like, you know what, I haven't been eating the right way, I've been eating too much sugar, drinking too much caffeine, I haven't gotten my rest. There's usually some pretty logical reasons behind that situation happening you can point to. That'll be kind of the first wave that you'll go through. Then you get yourself into a space of balance for the most part, all right? And you're in that balance zone. Then you start having high amplitude emotional reactions to things. And that's when you have to start looking at, this situation does not require me to have this level of an amplitude of reaction. Where's it coming from? Well, you've got a couple places to look. First of all, you've got to look in the past. Why am I reacting with this emotion based in this situation? Obviously because I have a pattern of reacting this way, and this is just the way I'm reacting because this is the way I've always reacted, okay? And maybe the initial situation that it happened in, okay, that I wasn't able to address it in was very intense and I didn't address it, so it's just repeating itself, all right? And again, I would look in that place first. So for example, you're, a child's in a classroom and this teacher is really belittling this child and causing a lot of low self-esteem issues in this child, and this child develops an issue over it, all right? So then this child grows up and he's 25 years old and he's working in a job situation and he makes a mistake at work and he tends to have a male boss, and this male boss just starts saying something to him like, you know, you really need to try harder at what you're doing here, you really need to pay attention. And this man at this point finds himself completely feeling self-deprecating about himself and flagellating himself and just feels like he's just the worst person in the world. Yet at the same time, he's received many accolades at work, he's been very good, he's been promoted, he's gotten more money, he's good at what he does, he's been told he's good at what he does, but yet this emotional pattern kicks in and brings him down. It would be important for that person to become reflective and say, why was I so upset by that situation? It wasn't about what happened there. Look back in your life. Look back in your life with situations that would mimic that. Other situations where in this situation that I'm making up, that there was male role models, there was authoritarian figures speaking to you. Like, just be open to where's this coming from with these characters. You'll start to show up things in your mind. Oh my God, that reminds me of that, or that reminds me of that. And it might not be the first one that happened, but if you keep being open to it, your system will draw up those emotional memory patterns, and you'll find yourself going back to the time that it happened, or closer to the original time that it happened. And you can then go, well, that isn't what's going on. And that's the biggest thing you need to say. Well, that isn't what happened here. You need to nullify the validity of the past emotional reaction simply by accepting and validating that it isn't what's happening now. That diffuses a lot of it, all right? The next place you have to look for it, okay, and this is why one of the first questions I'll ask the people who come to see me is, you know, describe for me the general personality of your mother and your father. Right? Because a lot of it comes from childhood patterns that you experience when you're growing up, or even deeper. Take the time, and again, none of this is about fault or blame. Evaluate the emotional state of your mother in general. Because you lived inside of her for 9 months. And her nervous system was your only real contact with the world. So you pick up what's called in utero emotions, where you literally feel about yourself the way your mother felt about the world. And this is completely unconscious programming. You have no idea why you feel this way, but it was just the way that you felt, and you don't know why. But if you look back at your mother's personality or your family personality, okay, what was going on when your mother was pregnant with you? What was her life like? And that's why it's not about fault or blame. A lot of mothers who have children, their lives were very difficult when they were having children in front of them. They were doing the best they could do, but it was still difficult. And so their emotional experience around their life was being fed into you, and you were thinking and seeing that this is the world I'm growing up in, this is the world I need to be prepared for, this is what I need to be ready for, this is what life's all about. But really, it was what life was all about according to who? Mom. So you get imprinted with a limited space of consciousness, which all of us are in to some degree or another. So, that's why it's very important to become aware of this. And again, it isn't about fault or blame on the mother. It's about becoming aware of what has nothing to do with you. What had nothing to do with you? And a lot of times I find that when you're in utero, you literally start taking fault and blame for your mother's emotional experience. Now, when you get to be a little itty-bitty kid, you can start taking responsibility for your mother and father's emotional experience. And we kind of covered that last time, about spilling the milk. Were they angry because you spilled the milk, or were they just angry? And they were angry, and you spilling the milk brought it out. But there's this deep identification with, we want to know what's going on, we can't really see what's going on, they see what's going on, so we believe what they're telling us is true. And it's very deeply imprinted, because it's what's happening as your nervous system is developing. Remember, we are on some level adaptogenic organisms. We want to adapt and be prepared for what we're coming into. So we're always looking for a little bit of foresight on what am I coming into, and how do I need to develop my brain, my nervous system, my glandular system to be ready to survive it and be compatible with it. So we're grabbing information any way we can, because when we believe we're just a sensory organ, that's what we believe we should do to survive. Now, there's one more space that you're going to need to look if it's your time to look in this space. When you have a situation happening in your life that's a very strong, and these are usually pretty intense triggered emotional reactions or very strong patterns of reaction, and you've done your due diligence, you've looked at your childhood, you've looked at your mother's personality, you've looked at your father, you've kind of, squeezed out the dirty water from that rag, and go, okay, well that's good. Why am I still having this reaction? And most of these will be completely like, you'll feel really helpless to change them, because you really won't be able to get a grip on where they're coming from, all right? That's when you need to start looking into past life realities and what's happened to you. And if you're not ready to do that, you can achieve an incredible level of improvement. If that's not something that your spiritual belief lets you go into, I'm cool with that, okay? And you'll achieve an incredible level of improvement just doing what I've told you to do. But for everyone else who is ready, we're going to take a little time, and I'm going to address this pattern, because it's real and it's appropriate, and life is a continual stream of consciousness, and it doesn't really care whether you believe in it or not. It moves that way. So you need to look at what might be a possible past life experience, because these are real, and we are eternal beings, and we have eternal experiences, and your spirit carries a memory of those experiences through time. And I'm using words to best describe what we really don't understand. And here's how I know, in my personal experience, that it's true. Because I've been able to help people see them, and I've been able to tell them things about past life experiences that they were able to completely identify with, that they would have never told me. And they healed from things when we did it. And that's always the clincher for me. When someone heals from something because of something that I've done, has been done in the field, that I've been a part of doing, whatever you want to say, okay? I can't deny that it had some kind of validative effect on them. I mean, I'm a scientist. When I am a part of some experiment, and the experiment goes well, and something moves that was stuck in A and moves plus B to C, I got to say, well, wait a minute. Okay, maybe that was just one time. But then when I have the ability to reproduce that experiment in many different individuals, and I see many different individuals heal from things, that proves that there must be some existence of that to happen, or it wouldn't be reproducible. Again, we're not doing lab experiments where we can control all the variables, but the general context has proven itself. And anyone who's had a genuine past life awareness or awakening and release, they know. And not only do they feel a change in the room with me, but they show a sustainable change in that caricature being absent from their behavior. It just is what it is. So we need to look at these things. And there's other ones we want to look at, but I really think I'm being given very strong guidance that at this point in the teachings that's enough to kind of stretch everybody as far as they can be stretched right now. There's other things that I will share with you when I'm guided to, but right now, let's leave it to those categories to kind of search around in and look in. Okay?